It's been concerning to hear that at just 53 years of age, the radio presenter Kyle Sandilands is having to undergo urgent brain surgery for a brain aneurysm. Look, I wish Kyle all the very best, a successful surgery and a speedy recovery. Although I certainly don't agree with his conduct, I'm not a fan or a listener, but I do have great respect for him, especially after the last election, where he was one of the few radio commentators and one of the few people in the media that gave the United Australia Party and myself as their leader a fair go to sit out and to debate our policies on his highly rated breakfast program. And I think when you listen to Kyle's questions and his comments during that interview back in May of 2022, I think Kyle's actually really one of us. He's really a believer in freedom, and he's perhaps, I think, a closet libertarian. But have a listen to this interview and see what you think if Kyle really is a true libertarian. And as I said, we wish him all the best with his operation and a speedy recovery. But have a listen to this and make up your own mind about Kyle Sandilands if he is a true believer in freedom and a libertarian.
You like that song? Yeah, it's Kiss, Kyle Jaccio. Let's get Craig Kelly on, everyone. Here he is, the United Australia Party chief, Craig Kelly, in the chair, wearing a yellow jacket. Hello, Craig.
Yeah, great to
Hi.
be with you, Kyle. I've got my special United Australia Party bright yellow jacket on. If I could wear it anywhere in this country, I could wear it in your studios.
You could get a job. If this doesn't work out for you, straight down at Century 21. You've got the same colours. Now,
Century 21.
Jackie's here. Now, Pedro, you've met Pedro out there. Big fan of your
Pedro's
party.
brought you in because we all get to bring in someone that we are voting for this week.
And he loves you.
And yeah,
Nice.
Pedro's a fan. Can I ask Craig, what are your main policies that people should know?
What don't people know
sure,
that they need to know before the election on Saturday?
Sure, Jackie. Look, there's this is, I think, one of the most important elections our nation's going to face. It will set the direction of our country for decades to come.
Sure.
Now, we've taken on a pro-freedom policy. We
Yep.
believe people have got to have freedom of choice on the medical intervention that they undergo. Your body, your choice. That's how it should be.
Is this the abortion stuff or no? No, this is the
No.
mask shit.
No, Cole, this is a medical intervention.
Right.
Now, you should have the choice in a democratic, free society. You should not be forced to undergo a medical intervention to keep your job.
Do you mean the vaccine?
The vaccine,
Right.
yes, yeah.
Right. You got to dumb it down for me.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
Medical
I thought you were
intervention,
talking
right.
about euthanasia for
Yeah.
a second.
No, we're talking
the
about,
choice
look,
to die or not.
No,
That's not it.
whether someone takes the vaccine or not should be their freedom of choice in a free society. And
Right.
no Australian should be forced to undergo that medical intervention of a vaccination at the threat of losing their jobs.
That was a problem. I did feel like, even though I got vaccinated and was behind the vaccines, because I've had vaccines before, I felt this is just the way to keep the world safe. But as the sort of months went on and on and on, you realised, oh, hang on, some of this is bullshit. Some of it's not. Maybe we bit off more than we could chew, or maybe we got scared, or I don't know what happened. But in that sort of situation,
Is it still an issue?
Look, it is.
The vaccine,
vaccines.
and not having a job.
Jackie,
Is that-
every day I speak to dozens of Australians. I've spoken to, over the last several months, thousands of Australians that are currently forced out of the workforce, forced out by their employer because they've exercised what should be their free right in a democratic society. And I just think that's wrong.
and these aren't lunatics. These are nurses, doctors, ambulance
doctors.
drivers,
Correct.
builders,
Correct.
lawyers.
Yeah.
Every type
Absolutely.
of person, right, is affected.
Yeah, so that's, I think, a basic freedom that we will protect. We'll make sure all those people can get back to work, get them back in the workforce. The economy's certainly not going that well that we can afford all these people to be sitting on the sidelines when they are fit, healthy and contribute to the economy.
The only person who's
Yeah.
educated with a university degree here is Brooklyn in the newsroom.
G'day, Craig.
G'day,
Welcome
Brooklyn.
to
Brooklyn
the
is
show.
a Labor fan, and he's a nutcase.
We won't hold that against him.
Carl
He's
thinks I am.
he's a mental case.
I'm the only one in here who's not bowing down to Scott Morrison.
Oh,
you and
excuse
me, Craig.
I created
Yeah.
I created the rumour that ScoMo shit his pants at Engadine McDonald's. How's that being on his side? Oh, it's that little.
$30,000 or
Okay, but your
$40,000 or something.
point, your point, Brooklyn, is that
Where's
is
the
going
money
to
coming
create
from?
further.
Yeah, it
Where's
costs
the
money.
money?
Sure,
come
okay,
from?
we've set
Yeah.
this out. We're going to put a 15% export license fee on the exports of iron ore from this country.
So that's a tax.
Well, it's an export license fee. It's a form of, it's revenue to government.
We're not
We've met
paying,
that.
someone else is paying.
Now, that will be paid for by the steel mills of China, the steel mills of Japan and the steel mills of South Korea.
Could
So
they
not
go,
the taxpayer
Not
in
the
Australia. This
taxpayer,
is an
no.
overseas expense
Correct,
for some other
correct.
country.
could they go to a different country and buy
This
iron
is the
ore?
beauty of our iron ore exports. We hold a quasi-monopoly position. There's no other substitutes available for them.
So they gotta
yes, there's
pay
a bit
it.
of production.
We've got the cleanest, the best iron ore on earth.
Absolutely.
Right
We've
here.
got a bit of production out of Brazil, that Brazil's full capacity. There's a little production out of South Africa. The Chinese are desperately trying to get production in other parts of Africa. Good luck to them with the political situation over there. And even if they get that up, it's only a drop in the bucket. This year or next year, we're going to get close to 1 billion tonnes worth of iron ore exported from this country. We dominate it. This is an asset owned by all Australians.
Doesn't Clive own the mine? Clive Palmer?
The iron ore is owned by every single Australian. The iron ore in our ground is owned by Australia. Yes, we grant mining leases to companies to do that.
But this is why Clive knows that he could
That's
just
right.
put this little thing. Like, that's why you guys have figured it out, because
Exactly.
we're not digging up iron ore. We don't know about these little tricks.
Exactly. We believe that our iron ore, we are not getting, the taxpayers and Australian citizens are not getting the true return for our monopoly position in that commodity. We can put that export tax on, and that's let us pay for things like getting more students into university, lifting that burden off students when they go and buy a house. I want to see the return of the great Australian dream to young Australians, that they can have the opportunity to go out and own a piece of this great land. And that's been taken away from them by so many factors, including that university.
You know
debt
where
that
I
is out
think
there.
you might have gone a little bit wrong in the early days, because you seem like quite a normal person to me. But when I see you on television screaming and red like a beetroot and yelling out about blah, blah, and there's all foam on the side of the lips, you're irate. You're irate. And I think, oh, this guy's crazy. But I only see a little tiny bit on the news. But does that annoy you that
Look,
the message sometimes get lost and they just use the Looney Tunes stuff on there?
It does. Unfortunately, the media coverage of this election, I think, in general, I'm not criticising you guys here. I really appreciate the opportunity to
It's
come
been
on.
rotten with the other
It
media.
has.
I feel
It
it's
has.
very biased and it's not good.
It hasn't. This election should be about the contest of ideas, where politicians and parties put ideas forward and people debate them, whether they're good or bad or
You're
otherwise.
not allowed to debate. If someone disagrees with you in this world, apparently, if you offend them, you're not allowed to even talk to them anymore.
That's a
crazy world,
It
right?
is, this is the issue of censorship. This is another issue we have to tackle. One of the other policies is a Bill of Rights to ensure those freedoms, to ensure freedom of speech in this country.
Right.
We haven't got freedom of speech. We see the censorship by the large tech giants. Simple principle. If you're able to say it in the town square on a soapbox,
Yep.
if it's lawful for you to say there, it is unlawful for these tech giants to censor it. And that's what we've seen happening. Foreign tech giants deciding what can be heard in the Australian public debate.
Yeah, it sort of boils down to one billionaire deciding what we're all allowed to talk about or not talk about.
Well, you're talking about here the tech giants, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I've actually had YouTube have censored the proceedings of the Australian Parliament.
What do you mean?
Well, what I've given speeches and debates, George Christensen, other members of Parliament have spoken in the Australian Parliament, goes into the Hansard record, should be protected by parliamentary privilege. Someone at YouTube in a foreign country has looked at that when put up on our YouTube sites and gone, nah, we're going to censor that. The Australian public doesn't deserve what's said, to know what is said in their own federal parliament. That has to stop.
That's weird, right?
Absolutely.
What are they censoring?
Well, it was a debate, Jackie. We were talking about debate about where we should go on these lockdowns, where we should be on mandates. Someone in the USA sitting in a room
Decided,
YouTube
oh,
has decided
yeah,
that
no.
they would censor the proceedings of the Australian Parliament off their YouTube channel. That is a disgrace. That is an outrage.
I'm no fan of that happening. I feel that, some people are talking about, disinformation, and then you find out, like a year later, that wasn't disinformation at all. That was the actual truth. And media companies and governments, sometimes they lie, surprise, surprise, and they do cover things up. One example, and this isn't a medical issue because I don't want to get into the medical stuff because that's tough to navigate. But what happened with the Hunter Biden laptop in America. All CNN and all these big proper news agencies said that's a lie made up from Russia. And we found out a year later, it's not a lie, it's all true. But where is their responsibility? Where is their punishment for lying? Who's in control of what we hear and what we don't hear? Shouldn't we hear everything and make up our own mind?
Absolutely. This is why the way you affect misinformation is by more good information. You censor things. Who decides what's misinformation? And what's
Dr.
misinformation?
Evil somewhere behind a giant curtain decides. So that's not the way the world should be.
That's what's happening. I'm glad you agree with this. We've got to get back that freedom of speech. We've got to get rid of these overseas censors to let Australians have a fair dinkum debate about what's best for our country.
You know, when I was up in Port Douglas, like I got a house up there, right? Oh, there's United Party shit everywhere. Semi-trailers, every sign's yellow, everyone's wearing yellow. And then I walk into the servo and they're like, oh, it's either Palmer's party or Pauline's party. They're both very popular in Queensland.
Look, we've got candidates running in every single 151 seats around the nation.
Good on you guys.
We've got great candidates. So every seat we've got someone running, all the Senate seats. And look, one of the greatest experiences I've had in my life is to meet these other 151 candidates that we have.
Have you got any crazies in there, or are you happy with everyone?
Oh, look, you when you get 150, I'm sure when you get 150.
Oh, look, I've got a couple of nutters around here. It's hard to get rid of the nutters, right?
Look, when you pick 150 people, there's always going to be some people on the edges you don't get right. But generally, these are people. They are not career politicians.
Yep.
These are people that have seen what is happening in their country. They say we are going in the wrong direction, and they have put their hand up to run.
Jackie, this guy used to be in the Liberals only until last year, right? Not 2021 or something?
Yeah, look, I was elected.
Why did you leave the Liberals and move over to the Yellow Party?
I was elected as a Liberal Member of Parliament, and I did so because of what the Liberal Party believed in. And that was, they say it on their website, it's still there. They talk about the inalienable freedoms and rights of all Australians, to get government out of your life. They sort of say, if you believe in freedom and opportunity, we are the party for you.
But what do you worry, though, that if another pandemic comes, and I'm with you, like no one liked wearing the masks and staying at, no one liked that. But, like, what if that did save lives? Like, what would you guys do? Like, but you promise never again, and which I understand, I'm for that. No one wants to be locked up. But what happens if we get another dose of something?
Well, firstly, the real concern is, at the moment, the World Health Organization has got this global pandemic accord. They're debating the day
I heard
after the
about
election.
this last night. Now, and if we sign up to this,
right.
Now tell Jackie about this.
Okay. The World Health Organization is putting together this global, what they call a global pandemic accord.
Right.
And what it will be an international treaty where the World Health Organization, blokes like that Tedros, and we've seen how influenced he is by the Chinese communists.
Yeah, they were terrible at the beginning of this.
They will have control over Australian policies. We'll be surrendering our sovereignty on health policy to globalists and the World Health Organization.
Well, that worries
I think
me.
that is wrong.
I actually feel that's wrong too, because different strokes for different folks, I feel. Jackie, do you have any questions?
Well, yeah, no, just going back to what you were saying about what happens if there is another wave and it is severe, you don't believe that anyone would have to be in lockdown again, no masks, no vaccinations.
Yeah, we had a
all
chat
of that
about that.
goes.
Yeah, sure. Look, Jackie, it depends on the circumstance. The things we've got to have, whatever happens in the future, we've got to have open debate.
But there's a few things about your party I like. The things I don't like is the ads. They don't make any sense to me. Because they're
I
always
never
like,
see
bring back
ads.
super iron ore, 15% iron ore. And I'm like,
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to follow. What does that
Craig,
mean?
can you tell us
Yeah,
your
sure.
policy with the 3% home loan
Yeah,
rates?
okay.
How
Yeah,
are you
that's
going to
right.
do that?
Firstly, I'll do the one to bring back the
Yeah,
superannuation.
what's all that
Okay,
shit?
okay.
I don't understand
Okay.
that. The ads aren't long enough.
Sure, I know this is the problem. You get 15 seconds worth
I
of
know.
ads. and
You should
try-
pay
okay.
60-second ads. More information.
Okay, let's go through this. At the moment, you get a tax deduction in your superannuation savings, which is fair enough. That helps you provide for your future. But I think there should be a quid pro quo. That if you're going to get a tax deduction at the expense of the Australian taxpayer, a substantial proportion of your money should be invested here in Australia to create jobs and new industries in this country. At the moment,
Rather
we've
than
got-
sending them to overseas,
Yes.
big establishments.
Yes, at the moment we've got trillions of dollars of Australian superannuation savings overseas enjoying tax benefits here. We talk about selling off the farm here in the country. So many people are concerned about excessive foreign investment, foreign corporations coming in and buying it. They argue, oh, we don't have the capital, we don't have the capital. We do, but it's been invested overseas. Now, we simply say, if you want that tax deduction, if you want the benefit of giving the Australian taxpayer a reduction in your tax on super savings, there's got to be some obligation upon you to invest a substantial portion of that money in Australia.
Pay it forward so we look after
Correct,
ourselves
correct,
first.
Correct. Now, that will see... A policy we have will see $1 trillion worth of investment capital returned to this country to create new jobs, new industries, new infrastructure. And we will set that going forward for superannuation savings, where you have to put us.
But what if America's economy is performing better, like companies like Apple, Netflix, Amazon? Like, we'd miss out on all those returns.
Some, but not all of the money.
That's what I'm
Some
saying.
of it. You know?
When you invest overseas, you've got the foreign exchange risk as well. Look, and if you want to go and invest in those companies,
The Australian dollar's not looking good today.
That's right. If you want to go invest in Botswana or Bolivia, good luck to you. But don't ask the Australian taxpayer to give you a discount on your tax.
Fair
If you're
enough.
going to get that discount, there should be.
What do you think of marijuana? I asked
Yeah,
ScoMo
sure.
this. ScoMo said, look, he just didn't want to do it.
Look-
I didn't ask him if he was chuffing on the weed. I didn't ask him about anything. I love weed.
Yes.
What do you think? You
Look,
don't look like
no.
a weed man.
That's
You look
true,
like an
Kyle.
alcohol man, but not a weed man.
That's true. That's true. Kyle.
Each to their own.
That's true,
Everyone
Kyle.
gets their own.
Look, I must admit, I have some concerns. I know the kids I grew up with,
Yeah.
those that were really heavy into the weed,
Yeah.
I see that they've had some cognitive decline in the later years in life. That's been
Really?
that's been
Like
my
what?
that's been my
Oh,
personal.
just slowies, you know, like they're
Just-
stoners.
So
Stoners.
that's been my personal
Yeah.
experience. Whether I don't know what the relationship is. I would not want to encourage anyone to smoke marijuana. or
Wouldn't
to
you
use
just
marijuana,
be
but-
easier just to
but
say
for
yes to
freedom-
marijuana and start taxing it like California did?
But we're a freedom-based party.
So,
we believe
what does that
people,
mean?
Well, we like to think that people have that right, but they've got to have all the medical advice that they can. We should have put all the debate on the table, and we don't like to be telling people what they can and cannot
Did I
do.
read
in
that
their
you
life.
like, Craig, Portugal's drug laws? Like,
Yes, actually, yes.
What's
Yeah.
Portugal's drug
well,
laws?
that's basically do drugs.
Yeah, that's
however you want.
That's not exactly true. I actually did a trip to Portugal to study what
Did you
they
get
were
on it
doing.
with the boys, or what happened there?
Just-
No, it's one that what Portugal do. They've taken a different approach, and they had a really difficult problem with heroin over there over about a decade ago. So what they did, they said up to a certain extent it was legalised. Now, but legalised in a way. Sorry, I'll correct that. Decriminalised.
Right.
So if
Yeah.
you were caught with a certain small quantity of drugs on your possession, you weren't actually given a criminal offence.
What do you class as small quantity? 10
No.
bags of coke? What are we dealing with here?
No, look, that was a good question we asked, and it was I think it was 7 days supply for someone recreational use. 7 days.
Yeah, that
now,
works,
if
yeah.
you had that, you would decriminalise, so you wouldn't get a criminal offence if you were found with
Because
that.
you're an addict,
But-
and you shouldn't be punished for being
and you're
poor
put in a
addict.
rehabilitation program.
Oh.
They ran these rehabilitation programs to help people understand what they were doing to their bodies to help them get off the drugs. But if you
Education.
if you had more than that limit, there were very strict criminal penalties in Portugal. So it's not a complete.
I don't mind that either. That's all right.
Yeah, so I thought the Portugal model has a lot for it, and it's something we should look at here in
We
Australia.
are running out of time. Pedro, would you like to get anything that that your party has not brought up today? Craig Kelly's on today talking from the United Australia Party. Pedro, big fan. Anything else there that we've missed?
Look, I have to admit, I'm very impressed with how Craig's handled himself on the air. Not that I had any doubts. I've loved listening to you. Everyone out here's been interested and engaged, which is great. I do want a clarification on that 3% home loan thing.
Oh,
that-
God,
Okay.
here we go.
Yeah, no, I do
Firstly,
too,
let's-
because how are you going to do
Yeah,
it?
okay.
How do
Absolutely.
you pay for that?
Okay,
How do you
first
make
I'll
sure
go
that
through-
happens?
Okay, firstly, why we need to do this. I've enjoyed all throughout my lifetime generally declining mortgage interest rates. When I bought my first home, I was paying about 14% interest rates.
Yeah, it was a huge
And
amount, right?
And I've paid something like $280,000 for my first home.
Wow.
And that 14%. And all my life, my mortgage repayments have become a smaller percentage of my income.
And you've enjoyed watching
I've
the
enjoyed it.
small go down and
Yes.
the price go up, and
Yep.
you're thinking this
Right,
is good.
Right now, young families in Australia that have taken out a home loan in recent years are going to have the opposite. They are now facing an environment where the average housing loan in New South Wales is something like $800,000 over the last 12 months. Now, they're going to be faced with these increasing mortgage repayments. That's going to put enormous stress on households, families. We're going to see people kicked out of their homes, unable to be able to afford their mortgage.
But
Now,
Craig,
so
the
that's-
Reserve Bank's
that's-
not putting up interest rates just to be
Yep.
arseholes. Like, there's reasons.
Well, that's what. So we're going to smash one sector of people that have just taken out home loans to try and make the economy better. We say, firstly, this only applies to existing home loans, and it is only for 5 years. Now,
Right.
remember, the banks have already loaned this money out. Now, they may have to refinance this money over the next 5-year period. We can use our government-guaranteed AAA credit rating. We can currently borrow money as the government at 2.77%, which is less than 3%.
But that could go up, right?
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
we can
guys,
do it
you've
now
lost
to-
me now. You're getting too mathematical. I'm out.
basically-
Sorry, guys. Thanks, Craig. But you guys just talked to
You
Jackie
lost,
and Brooke.
Carl.
Oh, quickly,
It's
okay.
too
The thing is,
mathematical.
we're not asking the banks to lose money. the government can loan money to the banks at lower than that 3%
Ah.
if the banks need to refinance it. We can currently do that. Now, this is going to put a little bit of a break. Remember, this is existing home loans only. This will put a break so we won't see Australians thrown out of their homes. We don't want to see a property price crash here in this country. And I think it's important. If we had like a cyclone coming through or a fire front coming through, we'd say, and homes were at the risk of being destroyed, we'd step in and we'd act. We are now facing an economic firestorm coming through that we have to act to try and protect Australian homes.
Who do you, if you guys don't win, which it's like you get some seats, right? I
Yes.
feel that that's a guarantee. Who do you not want to see in power? ScoMo or Albo? Which one is your nightmare?
What a rough choice.
I know,
what a rough choice
between two
Look,
uglies. But which one do you want not to see in power?
Okay, I would say both. But what we can do, we will set out a series of our policies, especially ending the mandates, making sure we do not sign up to this globalist treaty with the World Health Organization.
Yeah, because I don't trust that World Health Organization.
Making sure everyone gets their chance to get back to work. They will be the basic principles that we have. And unless either side of politics votes for those, we'll be voting no against every single thing in the federal parliament.
Right. Okay. Well, there's Craig Kelly. He is the head of the United Australia Party. Good luck, Craig.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Cole.
good luck. Thanks for coming
I love
in,
that you're a
Craig.
passionate man and you're preaching what you truly believe the country needs to do.
I enjoyed listening to you, actually.
I've never heard you more
Did
than...
not think I would.
I usually just hear the little bit on Channel 10 where you're... I'm like, God, he's mental. But no, you seem quite normal. I'm impressed. Thanks,
Thanks,
Craig.
Cole.
Nice to
Thanks,
meet you, buddy.
Craig.
Thanks, Shane.
Craig
Thank
Kelly
you.
from the United Australia Party, everyone.
Y'all been great. Thank you so much. Kyle and Jackie O.